What's up, everybody? It's your boy Joshua Edwards, live from Brooklyn, New York. This is Panthers Pride Television. For those of you that have not been paying attention, I just talked about on my last episode, on yesterday's episode. I am going to be transitioning, or it'll be a new person on Panthers Pride Television. No, I didn't get fired, man. Just got a lot of other things going on. I officially work for the New York Mets now and got some other stuff just going on. So just wanted to keep you guys updated. Just in case you see, a new face on the Panthers Pride Television channel, that's just where we're at currently speaking. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so NFL key dates. What I've been saying for the last several weeks. We know that, obviously, transition tag is over with. March 3rd, we're past that. We are finally entering into April. April 21st is when offseason workouts begin for players that are already on the team. Guys that have, signed their new free agent tenure and guys that have acquired through trades, etc. April 21st is that day. And then April 24th through the 26th is NFL Draft Day. With that being said, the Carolina Panthers have recently just met with an Iowa State receiver, and not the one that I've been talking about, but they met with Jalen. Let me make sure I get his name right. Jalen Noel, Iowa State receiver, who is Amon-Ra-esque. Now, what I am going to show you is Jaden Higgins. Now, Jaden Higgins was a guy that I've been talking about for quite some time. I said if he's there, I think the Carolina Panthers should take him in the second round, third round, because he's a guy that's big, physical, and literally has all the attributes of a Tech McMillan if you really want to go in that direction. Now, with that being said, if we are willing to go in a direction where we go defensive back, this guy right here is Amon-Ra St. Brown-esque. Jalen Noel. If you know about Amon-Ra, you know he went in the third round. He's been highly productive for the Detroit Lions. He is a guy who is an all-pro, signed a huge contract, is getting one of the top 5, top 7 paid receivers in the NFL currently speaking. This dude right here is literally him, but out of Iowa State. 14 games played this past season, averaged 85.3 yards per game, 80 receptions, over 1,190 receiving yards, 8 total touchdowns. Now, when you compare him to Jaden Higgins, if we're just talking numbers, very, very comparable. He's played more games than Jaden Higgins. He's just under yards per game, a little less receptions, but more receiving yards and a little less touchdowns. Now, like I said, everything is comparable. These guys currently speaking, Jalen Noel, though, is a guy that I really like. He's met with the Carolina Panthers. He's a guy that you can use in the slot. And you don't need a big body receiver to go across Xavier Legette, Adam Thielen, a Jalen Coker. You already got 2 big body receivers out there. If you want to add a third, that's fine. But you see, really the big body receivers are not the best receivers currently speaking in the NFL. A guy like a CeeDee Lamb, a guy like a Jamar Chase who's 6 foot, a guy like Justin Jefferson who's slinky. These guys aren't the tall statures, the DK Metcalfs, the Calvin Johnsons, the Randy Moss. Now that doesn't necessarily guarantee that they're going to be a star if they're huge and big body. But Jalen Noel is a guy that is very comparable to Amon-Ra St. Brown, especially coming out in the draft. He's a guy that should get more looks. You met with the Carolina Panthers. I also think that the Carolina Panthers should trade for John Mechie, the receiver out of Houston, but that's a whole nother issue. But there's other guys that are available, man. Jalen Noel is a guy who I believe, personally speaking, I know he had a good day meeting with the Carolina Panthers. I know he had a good day meeting with Dave Canales, Dan Morgan, and, just talking about the possibility of being a Carolina Panther. All shades of Amon-Ra, can do it in this slot, can do it out wide, has great run after the catch, great with his hands. He played in the Senior Bowl, and if you remember on my several episodes way back, I talked about how Dan Morgan attended this stuff, the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl. He knows who he wants. Jalen Coker was a product of the Senior Bowl. there is other guys that were drafted that were products of the Senior Bowl, and this dude is not going to be any exception. So you might see a situation where we draft a guy at number 8 overall, and he was in the Senior Bowl. You might see a situation where we draft guys in the 4th round, and they were a product of the Senior Bowl. You already know that I talked about Jack Beach, a guy that was the Senior Bowl MVP. There's a couple of guys, more guys that are there and that are going to be there for quite some time. So just be on the lookout for Jalen Noel just moving forward. Now, Cam Newton was in the Panthers news a while back on his critics about not being even in the Carolina Panthers organization. Now, the Carolina Panthers are definitely wrong for not having Cam Newton all over the Panthers organization. There's no way that you have an MVP in your organization and he's not somewhere, a picture of number 1. There's no reason why there's not a picture of number 1 somewhere in the locker room, the facilities. Guys need to know this history. 2015 was a special season in Carolina history, and it was because of Cam Newton. MVP, took us to the Super Bowl. We ended up losing 15-1 record, but he was a trendsetter. He started the dab. I mean, this is what guys in the, not guys, but a representative. So this picture is not obviously a representative. This is a general manager, Dan Morgan. But this is what a Carolina Panthers representative said when discussing Cam Newton and open door policy. Cam Newton has been and will continue to be welcomed by the Carolina Panthers. Our doors are open as they are to the all-team legends. Now, the issue was Cam Newton said he went to the Carolina Panthers organization. He brought his son in just to see the whole facility, and his son was wondering, Dad, where are you at? Where are the photos of you? If we got photos of a Kevin Green, a Sam Mills, RP to Sam Mills, a Julius Peppers, a Steve Smith, a Luke Kuechly, Cam Newton should be in that same bracket. He, to me, is arguably the greatest Panther in Panther history. You're talking about a dude that broke NFL records, a guy that won MVP with something that no Carolina Panther has ever done. He took us to the Super Bowl, the second appearance since Jake Delhomme. His number should be retired in the Panthers organization. So I'm glad that we're kind of getting back on that track, because the nerves and the audacity of the Panther organization not to have him listed anywhere is just absurd to me. So I'm glad that we're back on that track. But yeah, that's just a little crazy if we're just being quite frankly honest with you. So yeah, Cam Newton back on that. I'm glad that we're in that. So there's also more talks of us possibly drafting a ball hawking corner in the later rounds. Now, this guy, Benjamin Morrison, he's a guy that has been making a lot of noise at this pre-draft. All right, so he only played 6 games this past season. His best year, statistically speaking, was his freshman year, where he had 6 total interceptions. He's only played 6 games, 20 tackles, 4 PBUs, 0 interceptions, and 0 tackles for losses. But if we're willing to take a risk, this is a guy that could be out there. Time out. Why the hell is Asante Samuel Jr. still on the market? That's just a side note. But Benjamin Watson has shades of Asante Samuel. If we're willing to look at a guy that produced when he's healthy, Benjamin Watson is there. Just currently speaking, he didn't play a lot last year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he played in the bowl games. If you go watch the tape, he has great fundamentals. He understands what an offense is trying to do, what route concepts is going for a receiver. But he hasn't been healthy. You're seeing a lot of guys fall in the draft because they were not healthy. Abdul Carter might be a guy that slides because he was not healthy. Benjamin Morrison is a guy that's going to slide later in the round. So if he's there in the 3rd, 4th round, definitely we'll be taking him to line up across J.C. Horn, because you know how I feel about Mike Jackson. The dude is terrible. But without further ado, Panthers Pride, We out, baby.